Johan Liebert, everyone's favorite serial killer and German antagonist. Naoki Urasawa captivates his audience with Liebert's eugenic beauty. His bright blue eyes, golden locks, and cunning smile invite you into a world of inhumane acts that far supersede a typical anime villain. Not because Liebert possesses any inherent S-tier powers, but because he doesn't. What makes Johan's killing spree and violence more terrifying than most other anime villains is the fact that he has no supernatural powers. No Rasengan, shadow clones, and definitely no being transported into another world with a harem, cough cough, Konosuba. Considering that art is based on reality, the brutality of Johan's actions isn't just an over-exaggeration to evoke emotion, but a telltale sign of the tragedies that humans inflict upon each other, oftentimes stemming from racial hierarchy and discrimination. The eugenics movement began in the late 19th century with Sir Francis Galton, the cousin of Charles Darwin. His pseudoscientific agenda stemmed from the hyperfixation around creating a superior human race. Galton believed that by only having individuals with the best physical and mental traits, he could control evolution, wielding reproduction like a god with omnipotent power. This is where character Eva Heinemann comes in. Selfish, greedy, and wicked, Eva perfectly encapsulates the elitist privilege that Monster so readily rejects. While Dr. Tenma is seen as a foil to Eva and the antithesis of her cruel, unforgiving nature, what also can't be denied is that before the series of events unfolded, Eva was once the love of Dr. Tenma's life, meaning that he could simultaneously disregard her cruelty towards others as long as that cruelty did not negatively affect him. This undoubtedly brings about the sentiment of proximity to whiteness and how individuals of minority groups can affiliate themselves with white people in high positions to feel that power being given to them, even if it means demeaning other minority groups in the process. But is it possible that Eva is redeemable? No. Her conniving actions are a result of her superiority complex. This is directly seen when Tenma chooses to save Johan instead of the mayor, causing him to be demoted and their engagement to be promptly called off. Eva continually showcases how disposable people are to her. Her statement that not all lives are equal further perpetuates this. When her father dies, her world begins to come crashing down, and she desperately grasps onto any hope of comfort that she has left, using her sensuality and status to appease and use people to her liking. Eva's stark complex is maintained by her father, who has also prejudiced ways of thinking, only allowing Tenma to usurp power as long as he obeys orders, and easily stepping on him when his actions go against protocol. With profit being the end-all be-all, individual lives mean nothing to those who are in control of the vast amount of hierarchical dominance. Going back to Johan, his path was paved long before he and his sister were born. Taking on a nihilistic view of the world, his statement that being born really isn't that uncommon. Almost everything in this world is meant to die. In this world, a life born is nothing more than an insignificant speck and shouldn't even be counted as an existence. Death is natural. Comes from his birth being a direct result of the eugenics movement, meant as a desperate attempt to control human beings like dogs being bred and sold. Johan was the perfect creation. His sly nature, intellect, and handsomeness all feeding into the flawlessness of creating an Aryan society that defied the typical fallible nature of humanity. Johan's so-called perfect suicide was illustrative of his need to erase his existence from the world, being saved, again, by the man who prevented his death more than a decade prior. But how does this feed into white privilege? It is clear that Johan's looks and demeanor get him the farthest. The epitome of European beauty standards, Johan has no problem using sexual manipulation, dressing as his sister Nina, soft-spokenness, convincing the orphans to take on his existential philosophy, and lying to whoever he needs to in order to get his desired results. Dr. Tenma, on the other hand, relies on authenticity, often being met with hesitation or hostility by those around him before gaining trust, showcasing that the German society that he had attempted to fit into's first reaction to him was ostracization and shunning. But why did Urasawa even pick Germany in the first place? Well, according to Monsters Wiki, the first half of the series took place in Germany until Johan, Tenma, and the others went to the Czech Republic. The backstory of Monster includes the distinction between East and West Germany during the mid-1900s, with East Germany portrayed in a very negative light due to its association with inhumane human experiments and involvement with the communist bloc. What's significant here is the history of Germany, stemming from the post-Cold War era. West Germany, founded in 1949, was called the Federal Republic of Germany and was supported by the US, France, and Britain. The Marshall Plan, aimed at preventing the spread of communism, was monumental in the Wirtschaftswunder, or economic miracle of the period. East Germany, on the other hand, was called the German Democratic Republic and was founded in October 1949. Backed by the Soviet Union and controlled by the Socialist Unity Party, the region suffered and faced economic decline, shortages, and limited liberties. But where does this leave Johan? The Bonaparta experiment, of course. Franz Bonaparta was a psychiatrist whose goal was to create obedient individuals who lacked emotion and did exactly as he said. The government-funded 511 Kinderheim was the place that the devil called home. By depriving children of affection, isolating them, and making them watch acts of violence, he believed that he could have absolute control over them. The book, The Nameless Monster, was his cruel form of psychological manipulation. The monster, who's on a journey to find his true identity, continuously eats the people around him, in an attempt to find out who he really is. But no matter how many people he eats, he still feels hungry. Nothing can fill the hole inside of him, the void that so desperately wants more and more. With this continuation, the monster splits himself into two monsters, one that knows his name and identity and can forget he was even a monster in the first place, and the other who's just as hollow as he was before. The metaphor here brings about the question, can a monster be created or is it born? Johan is the epitome of the effects of the Bonaparta experiment, an embodiment of every negative attribute that the experiment called upon. This is juxtaposed with Nina, who maintains her empathy and attempts to move on from the harsh realities of her childhood. In the end, what is clear is that Johan was always a monster, and the cruelty of his childhood only exacerbated what was already inside of him. What else is clear is that his racial background, pretty privilege, and society's automatic acceptance of him is what makes his monstrous tendencies even more heinous, in stark contrast to Dr. Tenma's kind-hearted nature. Johan uses his privileges that society gave to him to continually murder people, seeking out the vengeful spirit that was implanted in him before the experiment even began, and demonstrating that society is mostly okay with demonizing the minority in order to maintain a racial hierarchy, no matter how destructive it is. Hi guys, I'm in the process of making my video essay, and this is like a little behind the scenes, like I'm typing right now. I use this mic from Zeal Sound that you can get for I think like $30, $40 on online. So I just want to say that this is my first video essay ever, guys. So I just woke up for a nap and I'm working on it again. I'm 5 minutes in right now. I'm gonna try to finish it today for you guys and upload it. I use CapCut to record all of my stuff and to like get my clips in and edit and everything like that. So yeah guys, hope you enjoy. If you love Monster, comment a heart down below, a red heart.